Greetings viewers, and welcome to Kerrex Reviews. And as you can see, we're still trying to deal with this whole no couch situation. But in the meantime, let's talk about another subject matter involving couches. And that subject is Pee Wee Herman. There is no denying that Paul Reubens' pet project, Pee Wee Herman, was a highly influential character. Even from its humble beginning as a stand-up routine initially aimed primarily at adults.
Honey, do you have a license to sell hot dogs?
No?
As you can see with a few of these select clips from the HBO special.
Shoe mirrors!
I'm not wearing underpants.
Jesus.
However, despite all the adult content, after hitting it big at the box office with the assistance of then newcomer Tim Burton, somehow managed to morph into a universally praised figure in the entertainment industry in the 1980s. Not to mention unintentionally kicking off the three-way battle between it, the Ninja Turtles, and Sandlot in terms of where people argue where they heard the song first. And it was thanks to the surprise breakout hit that he managed to strike a deal with CBS to follow it up with his weird yet innovative television series Pee-wee's Playhouse. But when the writer's strike of 1988 came along, Paul decided it was time to make another movie with the character, this time being a novelty circus act. But when Warner Brothers balked at the idea, Paul Reubens decided to take the idea over to Paramount, releasing the film under an arguably competitive summer, having to face off against such blockbusters as Big, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Beetlejuice, A Fish Called Wanda, the re-release of Bambi, Rambo 3, and a little piece of cinema that you may have heard of. But will this movie make as much of an impact as its first big screen outing? We'll soon find out. This is Big Top Pee-wee. So the movie begins with a grandeur title sequence with a fully animated circus parade sequence, before the story begins proper with Pee-wee performing on stage of what appears to be a lounge.
She's the girl on the flying trapeze.
He decides to leave after finishing his song and dance routine that is in no way, shape, or form meant to foreshadow anything, disguising himself as Abraham Lincoln in order to escape his fans and the paparazzi. Okay, so we're just starting off with a big-lipped alligator moment right out the gate, because this has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. It turns out he was just having a bad dream, and he actually lives on a farm now? What, did he run out of money trying to maintain his old house in the last movie, that he now has to live off the land just to get by? Were the residuals from his classic TV show just not paying the bills anymore? Or am I just overanalyzing this? So, as his animal roommates are having a picnic breakfast, Pee-wee and his pig decide to check into his botanical garden? Okay, you're telling me that he lives on a farm that has its own high-tech greenhouse with a science lab, the technology that can speed the growth of plant life, and can genetically enhance a pig?
Splendid! I'm very satisfied with these results, Pee-wee.
That can talk? He must be the great-great-uncle of Babe. I think you should consider reviewing that soon. So after dealing with his agricultural science project, he takes out his logbook to see his to-do list that could easily rival that of SpongeBob's.
Gotta work, gotta work, gotta work, gotta work, gotta work.
He decides to go have lunch with a school teacher named Winnie. But first he has to stroll his way across crotchety neighborhood. I say this because it's pretty clear that the townsfolk are none too pleased about Pee-wee's existence.
Hey, Pee-wee, let's race!
And of course they manage to race their way to the school where she apparently spends most of her time even when school hours are up.
Am I late?
Of course you're late, Pee-wee.
Does Dottie know about any of this? As the picnic commences, Pee-wee decides to do a failed attempt at a makeout session, while the kids decide to create a visual representation of one of Pee-wee's more famous catchphrases.
Why don't you take a picture? It'll last longer. Ah! Paparazzi!
12 seconds later.
And when you know it, she says she brought his favorite, gets it wrong, he doesn't like it but pretends to eat it and ditches it. Please move forward. Pee-wee then starts a bit of foreplay with Winnie's hair, while simultaneously giving her a stylish look that would eventually end up catching on with the general public around 10 years later. We gotta give Pee-wee some credit here. He truly was ahead of his time. Oops, looks like she spilled some of that hair gel onto his face. Yeah, he was really ahead of his time. Insert your own joke here.
So how was lunch?
Great. Come on, let's get something to eat.
Yeah.
So after the picnic, he tries getting a real lunch, but his neighbors are not exactly glad to see him.
Hey, I told you once, I told you 100 times. I don't want you running around my store, Pee-wee Herman.
We were here first, weren't we, Mr. Ryan?
Yeah, the old ladies pester Pee-wee about patience, then take their sweet time like old cunts.
Maybe.
The barkeep acts like a complete douche, not letting him read while he waits, and then tears up the place to make a sandwich with a pickle. Please move forward.
What's up,
Thank you.
Sheriff? I just got a call from Porterville. There's a big storm heading this way. You folks...
Apparently a storm is brewing in the neighborhood, and everyone heads for higher ground. Pee-wee is shunned all the way through, though he and his pig make it back to the farm to get all his animal friends into the shed to wait out the storm, while somehow having a party. But before all the really fun stuff happens, the storm passes in less than a minute, and Pee-wee scopes the scene to find that the circus just blew into town. He assists the manager of the circus, played by Kris Kristofferson. Damn it, I already used the Heaven's Gate gag in my last review. As he tries his best to keep everything under control. Pee-wee decides to help out, but then he bumps into someone who's clearly not the third wheel of a love triangle. And then he confronts the MGM lion, and then nothing happens. And then we meet Kris Kristofferson's wife, who seems to be a magic fairy who lost her wings, since she makes even the midget seem giant by comparison.
Likewise, Midge.
You know, you're the first fellow I've met who hasn't confused her for either Dorothy or Yentl. I'm just chalking your chain. That's a little in-joke in the music industry. They need to get the circus ready before the show later that night, so Pee-wee decides to tag along with them, while the neighbors continue what they're doing best.
Save your smooth talking, Mr. Wyoming. We told you, we don't want no circus here. And you show folk ain't welcome in this town.
You are getting very sleepy. You will enjoy the circus. You will enjoy the circus.
Douche.
Come on, everybody. Let's get these wagons turned around.
They all head off into the night with no direction or where to go, and Pee-wee feels they should go on vacation and stay at his place.
Why don't y'all stay on my farm for a little while? Sounds like you could use vacation.
Tell everybody we're going on vacation.
Which means there's calamity afoot. You might want to be a little careful there, Pee-wee. I think that might be the same giraffe that Quagmire slept with. So yeah, the rest of the scene sort of plays out like the beginning of Muppets from Space, which I just reviewed previously. I should probably spread these films further apart to avoid repetition or something.
It's like a zoo in there.
He and Vance go outside for some air, while Kristofferson introduces Pee-wee to a trapeze artist named Gina, whom Pee-wee had bumped into earlier, played by Valeria Golino in her first major role. Meanwhile, Vance catches a love interest of his own with a hippo named Jaja. And after witnessing a cannonball performance, Pee-wee and Kristofferson have a hilarious discussion about agriculture.
Helps be the next George Washington Carver.
First president of the United States.
No, he was a scientist.
Hehe, it's funny because they have similar sounding names.
He was the father of the peanut. He discovered over 300 uses for it.
Don't forget he chopped down that cherry tree.
Also, George Washington never actually chopped down the cherry tree. There was merely an apocryphal story told offhand by author Parson Weems. This has been the Pedantic Asshole Hour. Pee-wee then shows Kristofferson his high-tech greenhouse eventually leading to his top-secret hot dog tree, which isn't really that far off from the spaghetti tree.
Carried out anything like.
Amazing.
And the weird thing is, this scene is set up to make you think that it's going to lead to some sort of conflict at some point down the road. You know, where Christopherson ends up betraying Pee-wee's trust, revealing his secret to the world, built up as some sort of life lesson for the kiddies on how you should not let your naivety get the better of you. But spoiler alert, such conflict never comes to pass. A pseudo build-up for a non-conflict. Pee-wee then gets ready to have another lunch with Winnie, but then he takes an elephant ride with Gina, and as if the film wasn't subtle enough about what's going on, they witness two horses walking through a river. Probably hinting at some horsing business, perhaps? Wait, why no rim shot there? But, wait, what do you mean I got both the punchline and the metaphor wrong? Never mind, next scene. Meanwhile, the circus folk try to get some service in town, but the townspeople are just as much dicks to them as they've been to Pee-wee.
25 pounds oatmeal.
We don't have any oatmeal.
40 yards of twine.
We're all out of twine.
30 cans of tomato soup.
We don't carry soup.
What's all that?
Sorry, we're closed.
Closed?
Come on, get. Don't you people speak English?
Sheesh, even the Klansmen would call these people out on their bullshit. We even get to witness Benicio del Toro's humble beginnings. And it's good to know he was a werewolf even back then. Also, hi Miss Yvonne as the bearded lady. The circus folk then bump into Winnie, who then gets all the stuff they were denied earlier.
Hey, what an appetite on that girl.
And such a bitsy figure.
You know, all of a sudden I don't really feel so bad about calling them old cunts earlier. She's informed that they're staying at Pee-wee's, where she coincidentally is heading off to. Yeah, I can't see this ending badly at all.
And I wanted to bring him his egg salad sandwich.
Our favorite.
And she really seems to be digging this barbershop quartet. Speaking of which, we cut back to Pee-wee and Gina as they enjoy a nice rest at the waterfall, while doing the exact same thing he did earlier with Winnie, only here they end up going even further with it than they ever did. I should also mention that this film has the distinction of having one of the longest kissing scenes in cinema history. Screw you From Here to Eternity. Up yours, every adaptation of Romeo and Juliet ever made. Oh, fuck yourself, Tommy Wiseau's The Room. The true master of passion and sensuality is Pee-wee fucking Herman. Will you just move forward so we can get to the confrontation already? What the hell was that? The way they're trying to make it sound so dramatic, but instead it just sounds like a banshee getting castrated.
Never do that again, for the love of God.
So Winnie catches Pee-wee with his Pee-wee almost out and leaves in a huff, as does Gina. Later that evening, Pee-wee tries to explain himself and things only get more awkward.
Hey, everybody. Pee-wee has something he'd like to say.
I'll tell everybody later.
Preferably during sweeps week.